We're going to do assignment 2 of chapter 3, and you will find the appropriate file in your chapter 3 data folder. And you will find that I have a lot of the typing done for you. So on page 89 of the textbook, linking data in worksheets assignment 2. Part 1, create the spreadsheet results worksheet. So question 1 says, create a new spreadsheet workbook and enter the data shown in table 3.7 in sheet 1. I have that done for you. You can skip the tip and the note because they're outdated, and we move on to page 90 where it tells us what to start doing. So question 2 says, rename sheet 1 as spreadsheet results. So if we right click on the tab for sheet 1 and we see rename coming up, and when rename comes up, the name that's already there becomes grayed out. If I press backspace, that gets rid of that, and I will type in the new name. And press enter to have that accepted. Assign the name SS results to the range B4 to B16. So let us first of all highlight from B4 to B16, and we're going to name that range. So we go into formulas, define name, drop down the menu, define name, and the dialog box comes up. It's making a suggested name which isn't correct, so we're going to just backspace to get rid of that, and we're going to call it SS results, and it has to be all one word, SSRESULTS. And you can see it's referring to the spreadsheet results and to the range B4 to B16 within that, and it's automatically absolute. And we say OK to that. We're also going to assign the name SS students to the range A4 to A16, so from Tom Boyle down to Joe Dalton. And again, formulas, define name, and we're calling this SS students, SS students. And at the bottom, you can see that that name refers to the spreadsheet results, the range A4 to A16, and it's automatically absolute. And we click OK to get that accepted. Before I move on to the next question, I'll just refer to the tip. Holding down Shift and then pressing an arrow key is another way of highlighting cells in a spreadsheet. This is particularly useful when the highlighted range extends beyond one screen. So, for example, if I wanted to highlight from number of distinctions down to total students, if I click on number of distinctions, hold down the Shift key and use the down arrow on the keyboard, I can highlight that way. So it's just another way of highlighting. Moving on to question 5. Use the COUNTIF function together with the range name SS results to count the number of distinctions, merits, passes and fails. So first of all, we need to go into E3 and we are asking the computer to count the number of distinctions. And all those results are in that range B4 to B16 that we have now named SS results. So we need the COUNTIF function. The easiest way to find a function is click on the little FX, type it into the search box and click on Go. And there it comes up, COUNTIF. We click OK. The range, well, it's the range B4 to B16, but we've actually given that range a name. So the safest way of getting the name of the range is to go to Formulas, use in Formula, choose SS results, and it goes into the field beside range. Then we go to the criteria and we type in the word distinction. It's not case sensitive, but we do need to be very careful with spelling. So DISTINCTION. And if I click on Tab on the keyboard, you'll see that the computer puts in double quotation marks on either side of the word. So the beauty of using the formula palette is that the computer will take care of things like that, and it'll write the formula correctly itself. And we click on OK to get that accepted. Now we need to do the exact same thing, but using the word merit instead of distinction. So click on FX. Because I've just used COUNTIF, it's there in the list without me having to go searching for it. So highlight COUNTIF and say OK. Into the range, put the name of the range that you want, and we go to Formulas, Use in Formulas, SS Results. And into Criteria, we're going to type Merit. And click OK to have that accepted. For number of passes, we need to click into E5. Again, click FX, COUNTIF. Another way of finding the name of the range that we want is to use on your keyboard the F3 key. And sometimes you might have to press the function or FN key with it. So F3 brings up a list of the names that we can paste in, and we're going to paste in SS results. And if I say OK, and this time my criteria is the word pass, and we say OK. Number of fails, same thing again. In E6, we click FX, COUNTIF, say OK. If I'm very confident that I'm not going to make a spelling mistake, I could even type the name of the range in, SSRESULTS. And the criteria in this case is fail. And we click OK to get that accepted. And that's the end of question 5. We're going to move on then to question 6. Question 6 says, use the COUNTA function together with the range name SS students to count the number of students. So into E7, we're going to use COUNTA and we're going to use the range SS students. So click on FX, type in COUNTA and say go. That brings it up onto the list and we say OK. And although there are 2 fields, we really only need to fill in the top one. And it has made a suggestion for a range, but it's incorrect. So we just backspace to get rid of that. And we can use our formulas, use in formula to find the name of the range and its SS students. And when I say OK, it tells me that there are 13 students because it has counted up the number of cells between A4 and A16 that has anything in them. So we used COUNTA because it was words. Number 7 says apply cell styles. I'm not going to waste time with cell styles. It takes up too much of the time that we have allocated. So I'm just going to skip that. Part 2 then says create the databases results worksheet. So if we click on sheet 2, you'll see I've actually put in the data already. The question 1 on that part says rename sheet 2 as database results. So right click on the sheet tab, click rename, press backspace to get rid of what's there and type in database results. Press enter on your keyboard to have that accepted. Number 2 says enter the data shown, but I've already done that for you. Number 3 says assign the name DB results to the range B4 to B16. So we're going to highlight B4 to B16 on this sheet. And we're going to go formulas, define name, and we're calling it DB results. And we're saying OK to that. Question 4 says assign the name DB students to the range A4 to A16. So A4 to A16, formulas tab, define name, DB students. And we're saying OK to that. Question 5 says use the COUNTIF function together with the range name DB results to count the number of distinctions, merits, passes and fails. So into E3, I'm going to go FX, COUNTIF, Formulas tab, Use in Formula, DB Results, Criteria, Distinction. Okay. And I'm going to do the same for number of merits, number of passes, and number of fails. So on the video, I'm just going to skip to the shot where I have the number of merits, number of passes, and number of fails already done. So having done the formulas for counting the number of merits, passes, and fails, we'll move on to question 6. Use the count A function together with the range name db students to count the number of students. So I click into E7, I go fx, I look for count A, and I say OK. I get rid of the suggested range, which is incorrect, and I use formulas, use in formula, db students, and I say OK. Again, I'm not doing question 7 because it involves cell styles. Part 3, create the word processing results worksheet. So in that file, if you click sheet 3, even though the textbook refers to it as an empty worksheet, I already have the data filled in. So question 1 is to rename that sheet word processing results. So if I right click on the sheet 3 tab and click rename, press backspace to get rid of what's written there and type in word processing results. And press enter to have that accepted. Question 2 says enter the data shown, which I've already done for you. Question 3 says assign the name WP results to the range B4 to B16. B4 to B16. Formulas, define name, WP results. Say OK. Next question, assign the name WP students to the range A4 to A16. A4 to A16. Formulas, define name, WP students. Say OK. Question 5, use the COUNTIF function together with the range name WP results to count the number of distinctions, merits, passes and fails. So as before, making sure that you're in the correct place for your answer to B. Click on FX, look for COUNTIF, use the Formulas tab, use in formula, and we want WP results, and the criteria is distinction. And say OK. And as before, I'm going to skip in the video to where I have the number of merits, number of passes, and number of fails already done. So having done the formulas in E4, E5, and E6, I'm now going to do question 6. Use the COUNTA function together with the range name WP students to count the number of students. So as before, making sure that I'm in E7, I click on FX, I look for count A since I'm counting up names, say OK to that, I get rid of the suggested range and I go formulas, use in formula, WP students, and I say OK. Again, I'm not doing the cell styles. Part 4, this is a little bit different. This involves creating the summary worksheet. So if you click on sheet 4, again, you'll see that I've actually input the data for you. So question 1 says rename this sheet summary. So we're going to right click on sheet 4, click rename and type in summary. Question 2 says enter the data shown, which I've done for you already. And question 3 says enter formulas to link to the relevant cells in the spreadsheet's results, database results, and word processing results worksheets. So the simplest way to do that, but one has to be cautious, is to click into B4, and this is looking for the number of distinctions in spreadsheets. So if we type equal and we go to spreadsheet results and we click on the number of distinctions in that sheet and press enter, that gives us the linking formula that links to the sheet called spreadsheet results and the cell called E3. And since these are in the exact same order as the spreadsheet results sheet, we can just copy down to get the other pieces of information. Similarly, if I click into C4, type equal, go to database results, click on the number of distinctions in that sheet and press enter and copy down. And for word processing, equal, go to the word processing results sheet, click on the number of distinctions and press enter and copy that down. Question 4 is about cell styles, which I'm not going to do. However, I will do one little bit of formatting, which is to highlight where the numbers are and just center them within the columns. Ordinarily, we like numbers to be right aligned, but if they're single digit or double digit numbers in a wide column, it can look very strange if they're just left right aligned. So we'll center them. And the last question is simply to save the spreadsheet as computer applications results, which you already know how to do. So I'll end the video at this point.